The first priority of the Children's Charter is that schools must be safe and education must not be interrupted by disasters. School facilities must be safe. All new schools must be safe schools, and governments must systematically assess and report the safety of all existing facilities to ensure the retrofitting of unsafe schools. Children, teachers, and parents should know what to do during an emergency and be drilled in emergency responses, including evacuation procedures. There should be well-made plans to continue education during and after disasters in a safe learning environment.
Để sách vở an toàn để khỏi ngược quần trôi. Chúng em lấy dây buộc sách vở rồi bỏ vào cặp. Sau đó đưa lên gác xếp.
The second priority of the Children's Charter is that child protection must be a priority before, during, and after disasters. We know from experience that children's rights are often violated during and after disasters. Governments must ensure resilient child protection systems that address children's needs and rights through all crises. Further, birth registrations and adequate legal and governance frameworks need to be in place to protect children during crisis.
En los casos de emergencia, las situaciones de riesgo, en nuestros casos, las niñas, principalmente en las comunidades, pueden ser raptadas, violadas y cuando viven en albergues pueden ser llevadas a otros lugares por personas que no conocen, vendidas al comercio de situación sexual y cosas así.
The third priority of the Children's Charter is that children must have the right to participate and to access information they need. Action must be taken to overcome barriers to child participation in disaster risk reduction. Children should have access to disaster risk management data presented in child-friendly ways. Children's groups and networks should be involved in planning, implementation, and monitoring of disaster risk reduction. Children's voices must be heard in the public debate and taken into account during decision-making related to risk, vulnerability, and resilience. Disaster risk reduction must also be integrated into education curricula. Teachers must be trained, and educational material must meet the different needs of children of different age, sex, and disabilities.
Children between 3 and 5 really absorb this information and even tell their parents what to do.
When we see the flood, we have to run for home and be with our parents, because the flood is bad and it can take you away.
The fourth priority of the Children's Charter is that community infrastructure must be safe, and relief and reconstruction must help reduce future risk. Infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, and roads must be constructed to be resistant to identified hazards. After disasters, reconstruction planning should integrate children's views and adhere the principle Build Back Better, Safer, and Fairer.
Sí, porque por allá, por donde yo vivo, las escuelas tienen grieta, por ejemplo, la de Santa Cruz. Para yo cruzar hay un puente, pero el puente se derrumbó por las tormentas tropicales que pasaron. El puente tiene muchas grietas y para poder cruzar le pusimos palos, porque si no, no hubiéramos estudiado.
The fifth and last priority of the Children's Charter is that disaster risk reduction must reach the most vulnerable. The most vulnerable are often the hardest to reach. Disaster risk reduction interventions must be tailored to build resilience for all: disabled boys and girls, out-of-school children, ethnic minorities, migrant children, child laborers, and other vulnerable groups must be included in risk reduction efforts.
En casos de inundaciones, terremotos o ciclones, los padres son los primeros en salir, pero eso no puede ser así. Los que tienen que ser primeramente protegidos son los niños, niñas y adolescentes, y también que no solamente los padres tienen que cumplir con esa tarea, sino también las autoridades.